I get a phone call. Hey, you want to fly to Florida for the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show? We want to like see what you got. 1 month just took off and I was like, this is crazy. This is what you're doing. This is what you need to like, this is what you're missing right here. Asked a question from the CFO of that company. And he said to me,
we are sitting here with Brian. Why don't you just introduce yourself? Who are you?
yeah,
What's your background? What do you do?
for sure. So, obviously you know me, but for those of you that don't know, I'm Brian Pollari, and I run a multimedia and social media marketing company that I started back in high school. So it did not start off and is not what it is today, but starting off, it was, just me alone with my grandparents driving me to real estate shoots to go photograph these houses. And it's been a long time in the making. So I started that at 14, 15-ish. And, here I am at 20 years old. And it's been quite the wild ride, to put it lightly.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you posted something the other day talking about how like you'd done this at 20, and I knew you were younger, but I thought, oh dang, he's 20. I didn't even know that.
A lot of people, they don't. That's why I like to always like get it out of the way early, because some people will ask, but they'll assume that I'm, 24, 25, just not based off of looks, but just
trying to have a
professional conversation with somebody. And I was talking with a lady the other day, and she's like, you're the youngest person I've ever hired for anything. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm pleased to be the first person.
Yeah, I love that. Cause I dropped out of college. I did 2 years and then was like, I'm going to do other stuff. But I wish that I would have just not even done the 2 years in some ways and just gone straight into doing
it was a learning experience, which is like, an experience at the end of the day, which probably morphed you into the person that you are today, which, is a win to some degree.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, of course, I wouldn't go back and change anything.
Yeah.
But if I was for my kids one day, it'll be like, hey, if you have a specific skill that you need to get certified for, sure, go to college.
Yeah.
But you can do a lot of things without a degree. And, and just to be innovative. And so where did before I want to delve into the background some, but then I like asking people the question, instead of people ask things like, what do you do? Or what do you like? I like asking, what are you like?
Yeah.
So if you had to describe yourself,
oh God,
what are you like?
I would, if I had to describe myself based off of what other people have told me, they think I'm like, I would say I think a lot of people describe me as, just like a fun person to be around, as far as, lively, never, always in a good, there's never very rarely will any of my immediate circle see me in a bad state of mind. I try to preach, I preach to as many people as I can. Like I will never I don't wake up depressed. I don't go to sleep depressed. I'm always kind of like at a baseline of satisfaction. And, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but I'm always like in a spot where I don't let my emotions kind of rule what I do throughout the day. So I think they would describe me to that sense of things, but also a little bit cocky. I think a lot of people would describe me as a little bit cocky. But I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing. Cause the way I describe myself being cocky or, I like to say confident more so. It's in the sense of I genuinely feel like the business we have and our attention to detail is the best. And I feel like if I don't think that we're the best or can be the best or working to be the best, then that's going to slow us down. And I want to hold ourselves to a very high standard. So that way I hold the people that work for me to a high standard, and I hold myself to a high standard as being an example of that. So I think it kind of comes full circle, and it just kind of helps everybody in the long run to, if I tell my guy Peyton, you're like one of the best editors. You are the best editor I know. He really is one of the best editors I know. I want to put him in that state of mind. I want him to feel like he's the best. I want him to think that he's the best. But a lot of people think that that's kind of cocky and arrogant to say, take it as you will, but it helps us with our day-to-day stuff. I think that's how people would describe me.
Yeah. Well, you need some of that drive. And I 100%, I'll take a cocky person over someone who's just like doesn't have any vision or passion in life every day.
Oh,
that's
for sure.
really hard for me to understand people that just like don't care about anything.
And I think like maybe another word as well would be just what would I just I had it at the tip of my tongue. Dang it. But I was gonna say, cocky is I hate the word cocky. Maybe I like to say just like is the top of the line with confidence.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, I think that respect is a big thing as well. Like people respect that that's how we are. And I think I like to be a very upfront, straight to the point person.
Mhm.
I don't like to beat around the bush with my friends or with the people that I surround myself with, obviously in a kind, constructive way, but it's a learning based atmosphere that I try to put myself in and all the people that I work with in. And I think that is very important, just as, that comes from, feeling like we're the best that is around, but also just like that we're still able to learn. We don't think that we're too good to not learn from other people. Cause obviously if I'm in a situation where someone clearly has more knowledge, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
But it's never, I try to instill that into a lot of people, or I think that's the impression I give off right away with a lot of people that I meet is, if you know more than me in a certain aspect, I'm going to listen to what you have to say. I'm not going to go to somebody who has been in business for 20 years and come over here and act like I know more than them, because of course I don't. And I think that a lot of people get that impression.
Yeah. And it's really handy when you're talking about your team, just communicating clearly where you can just be upfront and say what needs to be said. That's how you've learned. Cause even my wife and I are we call it active aggressive.
Yeah.
We just hate passive aggressive. Like just say what you have to say. Like don't beat around the bush or make people guess. And it's kind of funny because people joked before we get married, like, oh, you're getting married. You're never going to know what she thinks. You're always going to be guessing. And I've had the exact opposite experience. And
she's honest. She's more honest than you want sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Where it'll ruffle my feathers a bit, but I'll be like, hey, I would take this 100% of the time over like, is something wrong? And that's the hard thing. Dating is a whole other topic of this that maybe we can dive into a little bit later. But in like the business sense of things, like when it comes to, to correlate that back to like the business as a whole, I'll try to toughen their skin with like revisions and stuff like that, because if I can get them, if everyone's, base level for revisions is I hate revisions, I never want to do them again. If I get them used to doing like revisions for me, then revisions for the client is just to be expected. Yeah. So I think that, you got to have tough skin if you're in our group. Okay. Number one, we're making fun of each other. We're having a good time. It's never, it's always like, we're always falling forward. You might mess up, but at least we're like learning from it. Yeah. And, the tough skin is a big part for me. I have a hard time being around people that can't hold their own sometimes in a situation. That's very important for me, and especially with the people that we bring around us is can they hold their own in like a situation, whether it be business or just, just hanging out, having a good time. Yeah. Yeah. And our team, my wife and I do pictures and videos, basically just us, but it was a learning curve for us because I'm a little more detail oriented than her. So I would have her be like, hey, no, let's go back and do this. And it took me a while to learn how to do it kindly, but also say what I'm going to say, like not just deal with subpar. There's like a right way to give revisions. And I think one of the best ways is, just, obviously be upfront, but say, something that I've kind of trained Peyton to do when he gives out revisions is, this is great. And, if it's like 80, 70% of the way there, we're in a good spot. As long as if it's like below 70% of the way there, that's when like it's kind of iffy. Yeah. But if it's like 70% of the way there, hey, this is a great video. This is like love this, love this, love this. Let's switch up this part right here. Do you think it'd be better to change this so that way we can see this better or something like that? Yeah. Just like a more of a strategic approach than just saying, because I've had clients say to me, I hate this music. Period. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, do you want to, can you send me a few options? And, there's a very right way and a very wrong way. And that lady, did it the wrong way. I don't even want to work with her. She could come to me and offer me money and I would say, I don't know if I even want to work with you because I know what it's going to be like. So just kind of
giving them that good environment to be in, the good workplace, I think is very important to, just keep the culture there, but make people want to say they're proud to be a part of something.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people I go to and say they're just like pumped to be at Tyson's Chicken. Maybe some of them are, but I don't know. Right. There's very few businesses that you can go up to somebody and they're say, yeah, I really, love their job. Might be a stretch for some people, but like they enjoy their job. They like their job. They are, they don't hate their job. Hating their job is too far. If anyone hates their job with me, then I'm doing something wrong. It's on me. I need to rip off the Band-Aid and see where I'm messing up at, because that usually will fall back on me.
Yeah. Yeah, and which is ironic you talked about Tyson, because that's what before I did this, I was technically working for Tyson, retrofitting the electrical system in chicken houses.
Yeah.
And I actually really loved it. It was just hard to make good money out of.
And me, yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of businesses, like companies that invest in the company culture, I see flourish a lot more. And I have a few examples, but just to touch on it lightly, like if the culture is not there, you're going to lose people. Yeah. So if you're surrounded by people that you like being with, if you have good leaders in place to like lead you in the right way and show you the right way and not, break you down and make you feel bad.
Yeah.
That's half the battle right there.
Yeah. My wife also does nursing. I'm not going to name names, but she's, done same job at one hospital versus another. And it's just a totally different experience based on the work culture. If people are trash talking others the whole time and trash talking the management, and the management's trash talking the employees, and everyone just seems to hate each other.
Yeah.
Why even do that?
Yeah.
Culture makes a big difference. So jumping back to like the beginning of your story, you said you started getting more into video when you were 14 or something. What was the origin story?
So like the farthest back origin story we can go is me doing stop motion animation at like 10 years old, 9 years old, maybe. I don't know. I was very young I had been using a camera like as early as I can remember. There was always some sort of video camera in my life, whether it was, just me, messing around, just like filming random nonsense. But there was always some sort of video camera in my life. And that, I don't know what it was. Just maybe it was my mom, that she was a part-time photographer. She did a little bit. She doesn't do anything anymore, but she would do portraits for people. Maybe that was it. My grandpa, he was big into it. He has, hundreds of printouts in his house, just hanging up all photos that he took. And, you can just walk around like you're in a museum and look at all these amazing photos. Maybe that was it. But as far as I remember, I was just always using a camera to some degree. And, I started a YouTube channel at like maybe 11 or 12 years old. And that was the first outlet of the creative mess in my mind that I just had. I wanted to make something. I don't know what it was, but there was just some itch to like put stuff out on the internet, try it. And some of it was good, some of it was bad. Of course it got better with time, but that's like how it originally started out. It started from me just putting stuff out on YouTube with my friends, running around the neighborhood in Clear Lake, Iowa, small town, no one hardly knows of it, and just riding our bikes, filming videos, having a good time. And from there, I just knew, because I moved to Arkansas when I just finished 6th grade. So I moved to Arkansas starting 7th grade. That summer was kind of our transition point. And I knew that I wanted to be in the video industry. I was still making YouTube videos. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to be a director. I'm going to be we're going to go take over the film industry. And that, it changed as I progressed in my journey. But I remember one day I was on YouTube. I was 14 years old, and I was watching a video, how to make money shooting real estate. And I was like, this could be a potential way to get in, because I was starting to look for a job. I wanted to make some sort of money. I'd always had like an entrepreneurial mindset, or just like a go get it mindset, a very, let's work for something. I loved working. If I was passionate about it, I would work endlessly for it. And just kind of taking that and saying, okay, well, real estate, that's easy enough. I don't need too much skill set. My grandparents could let me film their house. I only need like $200 to buy this new lens. I can go convince my dad of it. Took out a loan for $200 from my father. he's big in like, we're going to prep you for the real world. So I was paying interest back on that lens at like 14, 15 years old. And then, of course, it took me months to finally start getting clients, but after a while, I finally went and did a sales presentation at Coldwell Banker at their office, as a kid, 15 years old at this point. And I was, giving this presentation, and I just remember afterwards, just bomb rushing from the crowd. Here, take my card. I got a listing for you. Now, of course, like, I was giving them dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Sir, like it was like $25 for drone photos.
Yeah.
So it was like pocket change. It was like you could go buy lunch and then get your drone photos taken, at some places. And that was obviously kind of helped me launch into the, kind of ease into it. Cause I know that age was definitely, definitely a factor to some degree, but they're like, man, what's more important? Do I really care that he's 15 or do I like that the price is $25 to $50 and I'm going to go, do these photos? But that was kind of how I first originally got into it. And then of course, like high school graduation. I don't know if you want me to go into all that, but, it was high school, it was pretty stagnant. I was smoking weed in high school, like 10th, 11th, 12th grade was like, I started smoking weed, that was like that and videography were kind of at a level at that point. But I didn't really start making any real money though until 10th grade. And it kind of just hit off. One year, just 1 month just took off. And I was like, this is crazy. But, I was still, I didn't care for like business development. I was just like, this is just me running this thing, whatever. It's fun to make money. Who cares? Like girls, weed, party, right? And around like 11th and 12th grade was when it was very, that's when like things started becoming a little bit more life changing as far as like the monetary aspects of things, just like, bigger clients, number one, but just like the more consistency with what we were doing monthly and, really starting to kind of like, okay, think about branding more, think about business as a whole more. And, still not to what it is now. But just kind of like, that was the thought in the back of my mind, okay, maybe I should like look into getting a photo editor to help with the photos, stuff like that. And then graduated high school. And that was like the biggest year we've had, of course, that was just now, it was in 2022, summer of 2022, now in like 2023, or now it's 2024, but whatever. But that year was like really kind of a life-changing year right there. I made really good money at it as a 18, 19 year old. And I was like, holy crap, like I got this thing going. I don't need to go to college. I don't need to go get another job. I'm going to keep doing this. Yeah. So year 2023 rolls around. And in October of 2022, I had the opportunity to fly to Florida and go film at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. And I got to see a full-fledged marketing agency. I interviewed for them. I did a demo edit. I wanted to be like a remote editor for them and didn't hear anything from them for months. And then they're like, one day I get a phone call. Hey, you want to fly to Florida for the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show? We want to like see what you got. So they fly me out for the week and I do this and I'm seeing all these talented people in this one little area. And here I am, the 19-year-old, the youngest person in the entire room. There's people that are, pushing 30 or in their 30s. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here just like in awe of like, I didn't know that a company could be this big and like this much fun. We're all filming yachts. We're filming helicopters, these beautiful cars everywhere. And then it wasn't until they have 3 boat shows every year. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and West Palm Beach. I just got back from Miami. West Palm Beach is in a few months. But it wasn't until the Miami Boat Show that I had that I was asked a question from the CFO of that company. And he said to me, when is it time to grow up? And I was like, that really hurt, well, I'm doing this, and this. And he's like, he's kind of pushing it all off. He's like, this guy's, he's some young kid. He doesn't know anything about anything, and that was kind of where I was like, I should probably, kind of clean up my act a little bit. And I don't know if it was at that point or a few months later, but I completely cut out weed for the most part. Weed, I think, was bogging me down. And completely cut that out. And then it was just like a slow progressional inch up from there. And then I made another trip down a few months later to Florida, and I stayed at his house personally because we talked more, and I started asking him questions, and he kind of had helped me lay out this business plan. And this was probably 10 months ago now. And a little more than that, probably about a year ago now. And he was telling me, that you're missing all this stuff. You're doing this. This is what you're doing. This is what you need to, this is what you're missing right here. And he kind of laid out this whole plan for me. He showed me, he asked me these uncomfortable questions, as I like to say. I love when people that are way smarter than me ask me uncomfortable questions, because it's stuff that I generally don't think about and don't, pay attention to, but it's stuff that I sometimes need to pay attention to. And he started showing me how to run a business off of numbers. And I was like, okay, I haven't thought about it like that before. Here I am, one-man band, doing some shoots here and there. It's just me and Peyton at this point. Peyton's been with me since day one for the most part. We started working together in high school. Not anything official until more recent, but I'm like, man, I need to start thinking about this so much more strategically. We have, by miracle, I had a list of just these really big clients, and I just didn't know how to put that into the next level. So then there's a few select people of influential people that have really helped me take my business to the next level. One of them was the CFO. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now. Justin, the CFO of Surroundings Group, and then my good friend John Isaacs. And I went to school with his son. And he ripped me a new one more than anybody else. He showed me how to properly run a business. And then from there, I was like, okay, I need to get out of this videography mindset, and I need to think about this as a business owner. I need to think about this from a strategic, entrepreneurial business perspective. Why are we different? What separates us? I can't just, I can't provide video services till the day I die. We're not going to grow to the company that I want to be just from producing, maybe, but I thought there was more of we were missing an untapped market. Mm-hmm. So working with him over the course of the last, 11 months now, 10 months now, completely changed the trajectory of Pollari Productions. And, in terms of monetary value, but we went from a 2-person team to a 7-person team. 6, 7, maybe, 6 people. And that alone, if that isn't proof that, looking at it differently works, then I don't know what is. Mm. And all it was is making processes more efficient, more strategic pricing, more strategic proposals. A lot of stuff that you propose to these clients that I found isn't that they don't want to pay for it. It's more of you're just not proposing it to them in the right way. It depends on what they want. Do they want brand awareness, or do they want to actually make an ROI on their investment? And that was one of the biggest, I had to learn how to pitch that both ways. Do you want brand awareness, or do you want ROI? If you want ROI, we're going to have to go a whole different route. If you want brand awareness, that's much easier than actually having to give you a physical return on investment from paying for our services. But, now, and here we are now, we have people in place to where I don't need to actively be involved as much as I used to be, to keep the wheels going. Obviously I'm there. I in my company bio or title, it's owner, but everything else, because I hate saying the CEO. I hate saying owner, CEO, whatever, all that stuff. But I want people that I work with to think of me that I'm here as a resource. I am here to help this whole thing along. Don't think of me as too good to, be able to get my hands dirty and do the work with you, because I will do it. And I think that a lot of them know that, all of them know that. They all know that. They all know that they can call me, text me at any time, any day, whenever, for whatever, and I will answer the phone and I will help them with whatever they need. But that's kind of where we are now. We're growing, and it's exciting and it's scary, but that's kind of how it developed over really the biggest thing was the last 12 months. You know, we grew 270% in 12 months, which is, and we're still growing to this day. Like we're still increasing, like it's March now, we're 3 months into the year and we're still increasing, which is amazing. And these are our slow months usually.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how the whole thing started and where we are now.
Yeah. I did want to ask you, like, what's your why behind why you do all this? And also, we've got this, it's like a seed lip, non-alcoholic beer with some honey.
Do we cheers to it? Is that what we do? Is it like a shot? Do we do it like a shot?
I'm just sipping on it.
Sip
it's barely enough to sip, but I like to savor it a bit. It's
That's
very
good. That's very good.
It tastes like a garden. It's got that little like bunny on it. This one's one of my favorites of seed lip.
This is very good.
And
so is it just water?
One of the
distilled herbal.
Yeah, it's like a distilled herbal thing.
It's good.
It's different.
I did not expect it to be that good. I was expecting like a ginger ale type of taste, but it's not like that at all.
It's distinct.
Yes.
So I dig it. But what's your motive behind it all? Like is it building obviously, like I think some people can think it's vain to do something for money. But like that's a good reason. But then what are the other reasons, or like what is it for you?
I think like the reason why people think, you know, money is still a taboo topic to some degree for people. You know, you don't ever want people to, you don't want your clients to think that you're just working for money. I mean, we are working for money. Money is what makes the world go round. Yeah. You can't have a nice life without money. You can't, have nice dinner without money. But, there is a second side to that. The more money you make, the more relationships you build. And this is something that I've really learned recently is, you build these relationships and it becomes less about money. It becomes more about like, how, your influence, your, how well you can connect with these people that are very wealthy. And, okay, if I can make a friend with somebody who is almost on the same level as me, maybe probably a little bit higher, quite a bit higher, not too high, but, we're in this, he's not so high that we can't have a business conversation or help each other out. Yeah. Then if I can become friends with that person, and I have several friends like that, I am no longer limited. Money is less of the conversation. And it's more of like, okay, you need a favor. This person's worth, $5 million. I'm going to do him a favor because I like having, I want someone to owe me a favor who's worth millions of dollars. Uh-huh. And, in that light might be crude, but, it's all about relationship. It's all about, you can put yourself into a position where I know if Pollari Productions went under today, all the money's gone, everything's done. I know I can ring up, there's more people I can count on my hand and my toes I could call who would gladly take me in, gladly let me loan money out, gladly help me in a new endeavor, give me a job, give me a place to stay. And I think that is really that was one of the biggest things I learned as well is that relationship is so much more important than just making a quick buck. Yeah. And, getting out of that mindset is hard though, because it is a hustle. It's a hustle for so much of it. You have to make money to some degree. Pollari Productions we have to reach a certain baseline every month to stay profitable, to stay, being able to keep employees. And, my why has changed drastically over the years. It used to be, I want, a fancy car and, a big house and to say I'm a millionaire, whatever. I don't think that that's what I would necessarily, I don't think that that's my end all be all goal as much, even though in my mind, it's just one of those things it's going to happen. It'll happen. I mean, it's just if I keep doing what I'm doing correctly, it's just it'll happen. But I mean, I'll still be the same person that I was. Yeah. I'm not going to be, I'm still going to be able to, if I was worth $1 million today, I would, if I'm needed to go on a video shoot, I'll go on a video shoot and I'll run the camera. Yeah. It doesn't matter. But, I think that really what motivates me is the fear or the why is it used to be, the fast car, whatever. Now it's more of, I really am just in love with building this machine that we're building. This I love messing with different parts of it, being, now that the wheels are kind of rolling without me having to be 100% actively involved in the day to day, I can start like investing more money, more time into, okay, well, what if we go this direction?
Yeah.
What if we go this direction? How can we streamline this portion of things? What can we do to make it a better business overall? I think that's like one of the main reasons is, I really just love building this business. And with that, I have responsibilities. Like I have to make sure that we have to pay people. And I like having that responsibility because I feel blessed and I like being a blessing to other people. So being able to, take what, I created by myself and then incorporate people, and then they've been able to help me take it to a new level. Being able to reward them for that help is huge to me. Like with just opportunities and, the people they'll meet, the connections they'll build is huge. Like me and my buddy Peyton, we're going shark diving in a few weeks just because like I know that he works hard and he deserves to go like do something that he's going to want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that is like, I think that's a thing that a lot of business owners don't look at. It's, these people are working for you. You need to be able to reward them for what they're doing.
Yeah.
Outside of just, here's more money.
And
they need to like you.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times wealthy people can get a bad rap because people think of them all as like, oh, you're Scrooge or something. But a lot of people are wealthy because they've provided a service that's benefiting society. Yeah. And then the other thing I've learned about wealthy people is they love helping other people do things that are good for society.
It's
like
so
giving them opportunities.
Awesome that you say that, because I've been very fortunate to have these very affluent people that have been placed in my life, and they tell me, we'll give you the information. You just have to apply it. So many people will let information come in and right out the other ear because they're too, they think of themselves so highly that they can't, learn from anybody else. If a millionaire is going to tell you how to become a millionaire and you're not a millionaire, then maybe you should listen to the person who's done it because they know what they're doing. But that's just kind of my take on it. Rich people do get a bad rap, whether it be their lifestyle or, I thought it was funny. I had someone say to me, well, the richest person I know, lives in a humble house and like has their car paid off and their house paid off and like they drive a Toyota. And I'm like, okay, I mean, the richest person I know owns like a yacht and drives a Lamborghini and all this stuff. And I mean, it's not that those people are just, it's not that they're both not successful in their own way, but this person is obviously more wealthy than this other person right here. So how can we, I don't like shunning people for their lifestyle because, they've earned it. They've got to the point where they can do that with what they've created. And if you can do that, then more power to you. But I think that you need to, like, there's a time and a place. You can't just start making money and think that you're on some high horse now, because you'll get knocked off that high horse quick. Yeah. And it's tricky for me because I like nice things. I like to have a good time. I like to, eat nice dinners, but I can't go out and buy a Lamborghini. And I'm not going to put all my money into buying a Lamborghini because that's not what's going to help us in the long run. I would prefer to subside that until for the next 5 to 10 years and work on this business. And, okay, we did good this month. We can go, nice dinner or something, not, I don't want to feel bad about splurging every once in a while, especially if we do well.
It's really cool to think about that. If you just stick with it and do it over time, because I just turned 31. Yeah. So like you got a decade and a year, like where will you be in that time? It'll be cool to see like, hey, what's Brian up?
I'm nervous. We're going to do a podcast in 2034.
Yeah. Update. And which your team, because you talked about how so much of the why has shifted from some of the things to even like the people of building this business and this operation.
It honestly is just those, it's the people. The why is like, I want to take care of these people. I want to take care of the people that have helped me. I want to build this machine. It's a passion for me. And, I have a fear of like not being able to be good enough. Like if I lost it all, like I'm at ground zero again. Like I've already done so much at so young. I actively stress out, not actively, but like every once in a while a thought will pop in my mind, I need to make sure like I'm doing my best because this could all go away tomorrow and then what? All that we've done in that time frame is going to mean very little. The relationships I built will probably mean something, but at the very end of the day, no one's going to be talking about, how successful Pollari Productions was. They're going to be talking about, the people that were, me. They're going to be talking about, how I treated the people that worked for me, the people that were there, how did they, it's all going to be, the money will not matter at the end of the day. So I think that it's honestly shifted away from the monetary value and just been about building something that works and as well.
And how did you meet your team or build them? Like, what's that story?
I went to high school with Peyton, and me and Peyton, we started working together at pretty young. I was probably like 17 when we started working together. And then, he was very determined. Like the thing I love about Peyton, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't go out, doesn't party, doesn't do nothing. He works. He likes his work. He likes his girlfriend. He's going to love when we go shark diving, but it's very he loves his family, and those are his important things in his life. He's not, let's go to the club and go spend a bunch of money. And even, I used to be I don't go out nearly as much as I used to. Now maybe once a month, maybe probably even less than that. But it used to be it's summertime. It'd be a weekend thing. We're going out. And I kept hearing all these gurus talk about, well, you need to you're not going to make it if you're just out partying every weekend. You go out and party for the whole night. You've lost the entire next day because you don't feel good and you're hungover and you don't want to work.
Yeah.
Okay, I could have gone to bed early, woken up early and had an extra day ahead of that time. How many days can you stack up ahead that people lose going out, Thirsty Thursdays, Friday, Saturday, Wing Wednesday, whatever it may be.
And then taking your next morning too.
And then it's also expensive. It's am I going to spend all my money and time, doing all this for what? To maybe meet a pretty girl that I'm not going to marry because I met her at the bar. I don't know.
Yeah. And so that this is a similar question, but what does it mean for you to have made it in your own eyes?
I don't know.
What would that look like?
I don't know if I can put that. I don't know if I have a definition for that, because I thought that making it, again, like I said earlier, I thought making it would be a dollar amount at some point. And now it's I just feel if I get to a point where we're reaching all the goals that we've set, we're just going to set higher goals. Made it. Me and my friends we can sell the business and go into a new business.
Yeah.
And bring the same people with me. We can get to a point where we're all, affluent and successful in our own ways, spiritually, physically, and, in a monetary sense as well. I would say that's pretty good. But I don't when I think of made it, I feel it sounds it's okay, I've made it. We can stop.
Yeah.
I don't like thinking about it that way, because I don't want to go to some deadline, because I work so hard every day that if I just stopped and I was okay, well, I'm here, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'd be so bored.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think I have a definition to made it, unfortunately.
No,
but
that makes a lot of sense. My dad, I don't think he'll ever retire because he'd get so bored. What's he going to do? And he may someday, now that there's more grandkids coming, but before, he just hasn't had a reason. Cause am I just going to work on projects at home or whatever?
I think that a big thing, I love that. I feel your dad and I would get along great. I feel and I think it's shifted, maybe at 20 years old, I feel crazy saying this, but I think having a family would be, I think that is one of the most important things for me, long-term speaking, is okay, being able to have sons or daughters and, teach them. Cause, then it's no longer about, the business so much. It's about, preparing, a whole new, and it's just a different level of life at that point. You're preparing children for the real world. Maybe, I don't know, I might be crazy saying that at my age, but that's kind of, maybe I feel that would be is definitely one thing that would And, if I can make it and show them the right way, I feel like that would be an important thing for me. But
yeah, 100%.
I don't have an answer, bro.
No, those are good answers. It's funny. It made me rethink. Originally, when I thought of that question, I thought that's a good question. But then now I'm thinking I'm going to have to rephrase it, because it is like, there is no making it, because where you just sit back and like watch the rest of your life.
It's like, then
pass
what?
By.
Watch the world go.
Yeah,
No.
because it's, I guess, yeah, maybe it'd be something like to have made it as a person. Well, that's the same issue. Like, I don't know.
Maybe like what in your mind, what does success mean to you is kind of cliche.
Yeah, but
maybe you just leave that question and then, I don't know. I feel like it's a good question, because a lot of people, some people are going to say very different things. I'm sure you've heard very different answers from all the people that you've interviewed. Maybe you haven't, I don't know. But, I feel like everyone has their own little definition of it. That's just mine.
The interesting things is that it seems that it is a very different answer, but also a very similar answer too.
Yeah.
Like it always boils down to people. I've noticed, like the influence you play with, whether it's kids or your business people or whoever, just having a community and being an integrated part of that community who's useful and like helping out people and building up people and learning from people.
Yeah. Like I think that, being able to have influence over even like the city I'm in, like fame is so unimportant to me. Some people are like, I want to go viral. I want to take off. I want to do whatever. That is so unimportant to me. It's not even funny. Like, we built a business and then started doing a personal brand. Usually people do the personal brand and then the business.
Yeah.
So we did it the opposite way and it worked. And here we are, doing just fine. But like, I would prefer to be like famous in my community. Someone who is like actively working towards bettering the play, whether that be teaching people, helping, being a someone who can go out and give speech, talk to people and like teach and give knowledge away. I think that would be something that would probably another one of those key points.
Yeah. And what do you feel like is one of the biggest hurdles you've had to overcome in building a business?
Everything.
Everything.
The biggest thing, the number one, I probably do the top 2 or 3. The number one.
You could list a few if it's hard to rank.
I'm just trying to think the biggest hurdles. The consistency for sure. Because it's really easy. Like, there's a lot of people that can go really hard for one day, get a bunch of stuff done. But can you go really hard every day for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years? That's what I think the hardest thing was. I still struggle with consistency to this day. You're not supposed to be perfect at it. It's clearly stated in the Bible, humans are not perfect people. So I don't think that, like, I understand that I have shortcomings in all aspects of everything, but it's more the mindset that we're actively working towards bettering, is what kind of changed that. But consistency is so hard. You'll see so many people start a business, not be consistent. 100 days of posting in a row, edited, good videos is so hard. Putting out good, like I had someone say, bro, your 50th video, like you're halfway there. And it was just like an audio tutorial. And I was like, I have put out 50 videos every day that have been completely edited, scripted, like collecting data off of them and like reassessing based off of that. And you're going to give me crap about not doing like a 50-day halfway video.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if you can get over the hurdle of consistency, you are far ahead than more people.
Yeah.
Another big obstacle would be, working for the right reasons. And, I don't think I even worked for the right reasons for a while. I still don't to this day. I'll get people who are in my immediate circle will say things to me and I'll be like, oh yeah, I am kind of not doing that right. Whether that be in a relationship, because there's plenty of instances I can think about messing up in relationships as a, dating wise, as a 20-year-old, I don't know crap compared to a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old. But that, and also business, just like not looking at things the right way. Being, greed is a big thing. I don't consider myself a greedy person, but, there are times when you're like, oh, like I probably shouldn't have, like I may have been a little bit too much there. I could have toned it back a little bit, but that is one of the biggest hurdles. What was that hurdle? What was I even saying?
Greed and comparison.
Just like that. And then I'd say thirdly, like one of the hardest things to overcome was like the willing to learn and listen from other people. Fortunately, it was instilled in me at a very young age by my father that I am not all that I think that I am, and that I need to shut up and listen sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Everyone says it.
It was a hard lesson for me too. And it's weird how when I was 18, I knew everything. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't anymore.
Yeah. You know? It's funny because like I'm 16, 17, I'm a smart ass. Even 19, 18 or 18, 19, like I'm the smart ass. I know everything. You know, my parents don't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
And then it's like, 19, 20. Damn, they were kind of right the whole time.
Yep.
It's a hard truth. That's a hard one to come by. And I know people still like older than me that have a hard time learning, have a hard time setting their pride aside and learning from other people. I think those are the most important 3 things, you know, the ability to learn, the ability to be consistent. And I'm trying to think, I don't even remember what the second one I had talked about I had a title for it. I just can't remember what my whole gist of it was.
Yeah. If it comes back to you. But I'm curious too, did you go to like public school? Because I'm thinking I've always been a very driven person. And I think a lot of young people want to do things. And I felt so constricted in school. Like I would much rather be building a business. I didn't even know anything about this. So like doing anything that would be practical or tangible or applicable in the real world.
I think that like, and I'm actually on the Springdale advisory board for the school district. I missed the first meeting because I had something to do, but I'll be in the one in the fall. I think that like school, like my personal take on school is interesting. I think I actually really liked school. I didn't, you know, of course math wasn't like, I didn't like, you know, I wasn't in love with going to math every day, but you know, I thought that school was great because I went to the Don Tyson School of Innovation and I was able to utilize these AV Tech classes as a way to go do work during the school day. Excuse me. Now at public schools, it's tricky. It's tricky because I know a lot of young, really motivated people, and then you get out into the real world and you're just kind of like, this is a lot, you know, car payment, insurance payment, rent, you know, are they going to college? They're going to college out of state. They got to pay for that. Parents don't always cover it. You know, I got to work 2 jobs. I have to make money. It's really hard to work on a side business. I was just I was very fortunate to be able to get something kind of rolling in high school though, and use that as an excuse to get out of class to go do stuff. And if I was doing nothing, then I would probably be in college right now. If I did not start this business, I would probably be in college right now doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe start a business. Maybe I wouldn't.Maybe my whole life would have been different. Who knows? But public school is one of those things where it's, you know, as long as you have that idea, you know, maybe if you have that idea, you have that drive, you know, don't let go of that. You know, if you know that you work hard for something, or if you feel that something different about you inside, and don't let go of that. Don't let that slip away, because that's going to be very beneficial to you in the long run. And I think that a lot of people they'll let that slip away. They'll let oh, well, you know, I got to go to college. My parents said, well, you know, what are you actively doing? You know, why do your parents want you to go to college? Is it because you go home, do your homework, and then do nothing all day? If you're in your free time, if you're working towards something and you are, you know, trying to move in a direction that makes sense, you know, your parents might not be like, yeah, you need to go to college. Right? You know, my parents did not push college on me at all, but I was also, you know, making a lot of money at a very young age. So there was no point to me to go to college. There wasn't much I was going to gain. Now I am completely, like I've actually like said this to people before. I would go back and go to college. Like in the future, like I will probably go back and like maybe attend university. I don't know. It depends. But like, I think that there are certain things that I wish I could have gained from university that I had to learn in the real world standing. And a lot of that was like just the boring business stuff. And, cause I had the skill set and I was making money off of it, but I didn't know anything about business.
Yeah.
If I could have learned about business at a younger age, life would be amazing right now, but
yeah,
here we are
learning the lessons. Like, my big lesson from last year was that tax deductible does not mean free. Just having to drill that in, because it's always like, oh, that'll be a deduction. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
No. What's just one of your proudest moments as a business owner where you're like, man, not you sort of patting yourself on the back some, but just like where you felt like I did a really good job at doing whatever this thing was. And yeah,
I think that being able to travel, like have people travel for work and I didn't have to be the one traveling. I think that was when I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
We got something here and it's working. That was probably one of the most proudest moments, because I remembered like I'm sitting at home doing work and I was like, it just doesn't make sense for me to have to fly to do this shoot when I can send out 2 of my guys. They can go crush it just as good as I am. And I think that was probably one of the most proud moments, I think. Because I was like, man, proud dad over here. I don't even have to go to this thing. I can sit here and run the business and they can go do it. And they can get to say they can travel and have fun and do that kind of stuff. Yeah. But that was probably one of my most proudest. Being able to travel for work, that became one of my most like, that's when I really was happy with the direction that we were going.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And then this is another question that I like to ask everybody. But what do you feel like is the most meaningful experience you've had in the past month?
Ooh, in the past month? There's the business answer, then there's the personal answer.
Hey, you can give both. You can go into as much or as little detail as you want.
The most meaningful moment. I don't know if there's been any like crazy meaningful moment the last month. I think definitely give me an example. Give me an example of like maybe what you think.
Hey, I'll answer. I haven't answered this.
What's your most meaningful moment in the last month?
Most meaningful moment. It's been February. We got a 4-year-old and he turned 4 this month, and having a birthday party with all his little friends and family. It was just fun to see. And then my wife's mom, she kind of put on the party and did all these little tractor kid themes and just all these events, and just watching all the kids being absorbed in her magic. She's like a kid magician, and I'm not. I like kids. I mean, I have them obviously, but I'm just not. I don't know. Like it's hard for me to get. She just keeps their attention indefinitely. I can do it for 10, 20 minutes, but she's all in for hours. And it was just neat to see like, this is family.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Dude, I don't know. This is tough.
Yeah.
I would say personally, and like, you don't have to keep this in here if you don't want to. I was dating a girl for a while and she cut it off cold turkey. And I think, and of course that like, it hurts like in my heart and I don't like to think about it. But I think one of the most meaningful moments, I think that was meaningful because it reminded me that like, I'm still fallible and I'm not there yet. Like, I took that as constructive criticism from God and as like, okay, maybe it was, maybe it was my fault, maybe it was her, maybe it was whatever. But at the end of the day, like, where were my shortcomings in that led to something ending that I wasn't exactly happy with how things ended. So looking at it from that perspective, I think falling forward to some degree. I don't know if I would call it a fall, but like, being upset, but like at least learning from it. Where did I not perform the best? I hate to, like, I'm so analytical about like it from a business perspective. Like, where was my performance? Where did I mess up in the performance review? How can we like assess that and go, move in the best direction? What's the best move on the board? And like, at the end of the day, the best move on the board is like not letting that completely shut me down. Not like, being so distraught by it that I can't focus. Like it was she was a very important person in my life. And, that just being gone at the blink of an eye, it's a shock, you're in shock for a few days and, I still think about it and it's like, okay, this is, it's tough and I have to deal with it, but I still need to be moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And, I feel weird saying that on the internet because it's still like fairly, it's still not even a month old or month old yet. But that was probably the most meaningful thing is like taking something that interrupted me personally and trying to grow and trying to at least like have a constructive, outcome to it that is beneficial to me and the business overall.
Yeah.
I think that was the most meaningful thing that's happened in the last month.
Yeah. Just learning those lessons. Especially when you can learn lessons from the bad stuff. And like, say, if you took that in a business situation where you just have a bad business experience, trying to always think, like, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to focus on what you think other people should be doing better. And but it's way out of your control.
I think one of the biggest things that people, like, I think self-accountability is so huge and it's so, like, people don't think it's as important as they need to think it is. Like, if there is, and I mean this to the, like, 100% literally, if Peyton or somebody, for instance, messes up on a shoot, how is that why I need to make that, like, that's my fault. Like, I messed up by not giving him all the proper information to do his job. How can I take as much self-accountability for everything so that way I can grow and learn, was it maybe someone else's fault to some degree? Sure. But how can I be constructive and make the best move on the board personally, and from a business standpoint to mitigate that in the future. And I take so much, like I take as much self-accountability as I possibly can. And people will call me out and I don't have a problem with it because, okay, you're right. I need to look at that from a different light. I was not doing good in these categories. Let's do better. It's the constant, like, moving forward in the right direction rather than going backwards, falling back into old habits, falling back into old things that you shouldn't be doing. Is a problem. But self-accountability is like, I think that is like, needs to be the number one thing that people do is hold themselves accountable. You mess up, my bad. I'm sorry. I don't need all the excuses. Won't happen again. Don't let it happen again. Like that and reputation are just huge, but
yeah.
I'm glad you touched on that because that was something that I do like to talk about.
No, I love that too. I'm very much just like own up to your own thing. And also just trying to look for the best in people too. Like when they mess up and they really piss you off for some reason, trying to think, okay, it's probably not all that it seems. And like, I probably contributed to this situation some that made them so angry that why they did this.
Oh yeah.
All I can do is fix the stuff that I can fix.
And I've like done, and business, relationship, personal, whatever. Like I've done stuff and people have said, you are going way over, like, you need to tone it back, bro. Tone it back a little bit, bro. I'd be like, damn, you're right. I definitely do need to tone it back a little bit. I think that was a big thing for me is, like dialing it back sometimes, but, and that it plays into all these different aspects, taking what people say, important people, not just anybody, not some random person on the street, but like people that are influential to you and have your best interest in mind, taking what they say and looking at it and be like, okay, they are right to some degree, whether it be completely or in a small part, they are correct. That was on me. How can I do better?
Yeah. And, I'm also, you sound like I describe myself as ruthlessly practical.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll listen to a whole audiobook or a podcast. Then I get to the end and I'll think, oh, that was interesting, but what do I do with this? I like to do things. And so I like to end each podcast with, if you have a challenge throughout to the audience that would just make them a better, more well-rounded, compassionate human, even if it's like, hey, do something nice for your friend, like take them shark diving or whatever.
Oh man, if I had to leave everybody off with one thing, I would say, don't disrespect your parents. Literally though, I would probably say, be willing to learn and be self-accountable for your actions. if you run a business, be self-accountable for things that happen in that business, whether it was you or somebody else. Like, that's your business. It's like, make it your problem. That, and then just, fall forward, starve your ego and feed your soul. I have it tattooed on my arm. I'd show you, but I don't want to take off my shirt. But starve the ego and feed your soul, always be moving forward, everybody, that's like, I think that's a message that I would want to give out.
Yeah. Maybe to put some hands and feet to that challenge. Just the next time you get really mad at somebody, step back and think, okay, what did I do to
dissect the situation?
Contribute.
If you're in a relationship, and I'm only saying this because this is what I've been doing.
I'm talking to someone else, we
have a friend, if something happens, take a step back, analyze the situation, and, really like try to see where they're coming from. Try to see that, that you aren't always in the right all the time. A lot of people have a really hard time with that, especially the younger folk, my age and down. But
yeah. Well, anything else you?
No, dude.
Say?
Not unless you got another question for me.
That's about it. So thanks for coming. And this is Brian Pollari. We'll put links to your business and all sorts.
Thanks,
of stuff.
Bro. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.